My name's Justin Scharvona and I was the audio lead on Croc, Legend of the Gobbos. I joined Argonaut in 1992 and I was their first in-house audio guy, and at that point I'd already been working in the games industry for several years, so I was coming in as a sort of experienced musician, composer, coming in to work on the Super Nintendo titles that they were working on at the time. Yeah, I stayed at Argonaut until it shut down, so I was there for 12 years. I'm guessing that I started work on Croc in '96, because I know that a lot of the music was pretty much ready by '97, in the sort of spring of '97. So I probably started work late '96, and the sort of early Croc was Croc sort of in the first levels of the game. So early days of Croc, that I would see Croc jumping around in his primitive form. The early days of working on Croc were very much leave me to it and I'll see what I can come up with music-wise. There was no specific discussions held that said, you know, this is the route we want to go down. I was very much free to work on it and come up with some ideas and see what fitted. Well, the first thing to say about the actual composition is that there was a team of us writing music. So there were 3 of us in-house working on the project. So the Argonaut audio team was myself and Gwyn and Karen, and also Richard, who was our programmer. So Gwyn was a friend of mine from school, and one of his great accomplishments was that he went to Cambridge and studied music, and so with his extra orchestration skills, we gave him the job of the cutscene music in Croc, which you'll find is much more heavily orchestrated, and that really was you know, using his skills as best. He also did some of the level music as well, and he's also I think he plays the guitar on the credits. So whereas I played the bass throughout all the levels. So he's a very accomplished musician and writer. And also Karen, who again has a music degree and a great orchestrator. She helped me write a lot more of the level music, so she was more that side of things, so similar to what I did, similar role. And then obviously Richard, who was our programmer, who you know, one of the great things that he managed to do was play looped CD music on the PlayStation, which was obviously new to him, new to all of us. And that was one of the important things that we wanted to do, was to make sure that the music, even though it was compressed, would play and just play. And he managed to do that. I remember he spent many hours trying to figure out how to do that, and he did it perfectly. So the quantity of music is sort of equated to the fact that there were 3 people working on it. It wasn't all me, so I'm not going to take all the credit. When we first started, I think we had probably a couple of different styles of level that I remember looking at. That clearly there was a sort of foresty green level, and then there's also the desert style, and those were the 2 sort of distinct styles that I remember I first worked on. And it was really just a case of definitely with the desert style, I was thinking this is sort of South American Latin style. That's something that I'd like to try. And with the foresty green, that was just a sort of non-specific style, just happy, cute, bouncy music. So there wasn't really a strategy. It was more, this is what I feel will work. Let's see what happens. In writing the music, definitely, you know, you're thinking about the fact that this is being played constantly while Croc is on the screen, and he's in a very colourful world with cute little characters jumping around. So, you know, you have to bear that in mind and keep the music up and happy and bouncy. And that's done in a sort of way that doesn't change throughout, even though, yes, you are in a more spooky environment. It's more done using different instruments just to give different feels throughout. So yeah, rather than changing the tone of the game, there is a distinct happy bounciness throughout. There's a few different things that we did to keep the sort of continuity. One is that when I had written some of the themes that you hear throughout, we would really specifically be trying to incorporate them into each tune, whoever was writing. And some of the core instruments that I was using, we would share. So, you know, if I'm using a certain set of instruments and that palette, someone else would also use those same instruments to write music with. They wouldn't suddenly start again and come up with a different set of instruments. So because we had that kind of core set of themes and core instruments, I think that kept the continuity quite well between us. And then people could add in little elements that they'd come up with. So it's sort of sprinkled with each of our individuality. What tends to happen throughout the levels is that you'll hear a theme, and then really what the other versions of the music are they're called what we'd refer to as variations. They're variations of the melody and the arrangement, and maybe they have less instruments in them. They're just really like, there's like a core theme that sets the level, and then the rest of the music is sort of a variety of versions of that theme. One of the things that you have to remember about that era was that we were starting to have CD-based music in games. So there was a definite move into using music that was recorded professionally in studios. And some of the bigger titles were licensing music. So we were very much aware that our competitors may have brilliantly recorded pieces of music in their games. So we had to do something that was getting there using our recording studio and, you know, just generally using a higher quality of instrumentation, which at times means things like hiring in session musicians to play on the themes, just so that we were in really competing better. The team just sort of acknowledged the music as we added it as, yeah, that's cool. So yeah, I don't want to sort of go on record to say there wasn't any great moment that happened. We did incrementally put the music in the game. That's obviously, it wasn't suddenly like we had 20 finished pieces and we gave them all to them and said, what do you think? It was, you know, one or two a week maybe, I don't know. But so that there wasn't an opportunity for that really to happen. I think we put pieces in and everyone just accepted them and obviously liked them, because there really wasn't anyone saying, we got to change this doesn't fit. That just never happened. So I think that definitely the way it worked was we would produce music and everybody seemed pretty positive about it, and just left us to it because they knew that we were going in the right direction.